Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another lawsuit update. I'm just quickly sharing the link over on Discord because I just saw the info and instantly wanted to get into it. So, yeah, bada boom, bada bing, guys. It's been pretty interesting. I was eating I was eating some ice cream when I all of a sudden got head of the news, and I just had to share this with y'all. All right, let me quickly see if everything is set up properly. I think we are good. Quickly share it over on Twitter, the stream, and we are good. Perfect. All right, so boys and gals, we just got we just got notice, I should say, or headway. I don't know what else to say there. SEC v. Ripple. XRP. Ripple and individual defendants filed their response to the SEC's motion to quash William Hinman's deposition. Just came out a couple of minutes ago, and oh bada boom bada bing is this interesting. I have of course glanced through the most important parts out there, and oh my days guys, is it some good stuff. For the first time in a really, in a good while here, I guess I'm just really excited about this because even though we already anticipated that Ripple would win this one, when really reading into it, it just looks good. It just looks good. And you'll understand why once we go over it in just a second. So, yeah. Let me just quickly see in the chat box here. I see Cortodoxo say hey. Mike say Mr. 16. Not exactly sure what that's supposed to mean. Tony says hey. Tsunami says hey. Emma Zam says what's up. Pat says, let's go XP. Green Ranger. The conclusion, government misconduct. Can't really say. And KR says, win lamb. Welcome to the chat, everybody. Dominic Pickle says, hey. Moon Bentley says, what's up, Dusty? What's up, y'all? What's up? Welcome to another stream. I know. I'm not doing them too often, but sometimes. All right. So I could give you guys the real short version, but it's actually not that much info. So let's start out with a little conclusion. I think it's like 7 pages worth of text it's in total, but all right. We write on behalf of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larson, and in opposition to the SEC's June 24th letter asking the court to bar the deposition of William Hinman, the former director of the SEC Division of Corporate Finance. It is exceedingly difficult to demonstrate an appropriate basis for an order barring the action of a deposition, that's a quote, and the SEC has failed to do so here. So that again on its own is kind of the conclusion, what Ripple says, but we'll get into it. A lot of you guys are saying, hey, let me just quickly say your guys' names. Dave says, hey. I see Space XRP, Baron, Jonas, Bob, M. Grimes, Space XRP, Suffer, XCV, NS, Pat again in space. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Okay, I don't want to read everything for you, but it's so easy to kind of start off with it and then give you the conclusion. And I mean, it's only going to take like 3 minutes. This court may issue a protective order forbidding discovery on a showing of good cause. The Second Circuit has cautioned that Rule 26 is not a blanket authorization for the court to prohibit disclosure of information whenever it deems it advisable to do so, but is rather a grant of power to impose conditions on discovery in order to prevent injury, harassment, or abuse of the court's processes. Prohibiting a litigant from taking a deposition altogether, this is a key part. So again, the SEC right now put up a motion that they don't want Ripple to question this individual, mostly for the reason we're going to talk about in just a second. Ripple now again states, prohibiting a litigant, in this case Ripple, from taking a deposition altogether is very unusual, it's very strange, and requires the movement to bear a heavy burden of actually explaining why it should be not allowed. And they tried, but it's very weak, which you'll see. In attempt to shoulder that heavy burden, the SEC erroneously contends that when he was its director of corporate finance, Mr. Hinman was a high-ranking official protected from deposition by the United States v. Morgan and Lederman v. New York City Department of Parks and Recreation. So again, because William Hinman used to work at the SEC, at the director of corporate finance, he was protected. Now, logically speaking, if an individual is working for a government agency, institute, whatever you want to call it right there, secretary, I'm not exactly sure, you're to a certain degree protected, right? In this specific case here with William Hinman too. Some people are saying cut to the chase. Okay, easy conclusion is Ripple has given 2 responses to the SEC's claims, which are extremely good because it shows again that there's a really high chance Mr. Hinman is just going to get on that pedestal, which is nice to see. That's if you don't want the longer way around, explaining kind of in depth as to why the SEC is just kind of messing up again and again and again by just putting up this BS stuff every single time and time again. And again, here's the key example. By just kind of reading through the first couple of parts, that's why I'm showing it to you. So the SEC's reliance on Morgan and Lederman is misplaced, both because Mr. Hinman was never a high-ranking government official, Lederman, entitled to special discovery protection, and because as a former employee, he certainly is not one now. And this part is actually something which comes back a couple of times right now because William Hinman has been a individual who worked for the SEC. We all know that, we all have confirmed that. The SEC is saying he did not have any knowledge. Ripple is saying he has. Now, the SEC is actually claiming he was a high-ranking government official, but then also saying that he has not really got any inside knowledge. That's really contradictory. Ripple, of course, would like to say, well, he wasn't really that high-ranking of a government official. I'm not exactly sure how those specific rankings work, so I'm not even going to quote on that. But at least he right now is not working for him, so right now he can be deposed, right? He can be put on the pedestal because he's not working there anymore. And here, accordingly, defendants need not show that he has unique first-hand knowledge related to litigant claims to depose him. In any event, Mr. Hinman does indeed have unique first-hand knowledge about the SEC's communications with third parties and about the agency's adoption or approval of his well-publicized speech in 2018 about the regulatory treatment of crypto. And Ripple wants this specific part, guys. Ripple wants to know what Mr. Hinman and most of what the SEC's thoughts were surrounding crypto in 2018. Why? Well, if the SEC knew something about XRP or knew something about crypto that they did not make public, Ripple can use this to their advantage to kind of come back at this fair notice defense. The fair notice defense right now is built upon what we have expressed earlier, the fact that the SEC did not step in earlier to explain that Ripple was doing something wrong, nor did they make it clear for any normal, ordinary intelligence market participant that Ripple/XRP was kind of going off the grid. And if in 2018 they were discussing it but never did anything about it, Ripple has a really good shot at just kind of going over the entire lawsuit really quickly. They might just win on that fairness defense alone. It's a really important part, guys, and all this stuff, it's really good for it. At least, as far as I know by now, it's looking really good for it. And by the way, I just want to quickly thank you all for just coming by to these live streams, man. I appreciate every single one of you. There's freaking 350 people watching. Sometimes I'm still amazed that so many people just show up to sometimes listen to what I have to say. I'm so amazed and so thankful to some degree as well, guys. I don't know what else to say, man. You guys are amazing. Now, as well as, I guess they were all interested in the same thing, right? I mean, are you guys holding XRP still? I am personally. I don't know, I'm pretty excited about everything here. Whenever I read these court things, by the way, all it kind of does for me is just make me more assured that either the SEC is kind of a, I don't want to say, the F word, I don't want to say that, but either that they're sort of, I don't want to say the C word either, that they are not doing some legitimate business, let's call it like that, or that Ripple just has a really strong case and that they really could not have known. And even though they might have known, they could not have known from the SEC, and that's what's key here. Ripple might have known, but that doesn't matter in the court of law. It doesn't matter in the court of law. And that's, again, a key part. Now, let's move on. Ripple also knows about the fairness defense here. So Hinman does have this firsthand knowledge of his speech, which, again, was concluded, as we saw, by SEC people. As the court is now well aware from the SEC's repeated unsuccessful attempts to resist discovery on these topics, those communications and that particular speech are evidence important to factors recognized in the SEC v. Howey, to Ripple's fairness defense and to the individual defendant's rebuttal of the SEC's allegations, again, getting important here, getting juicy, that that they knew or recklessly disregarded Ripple's offering and sales of XRP required registration as securities and that those transactions were improper. So again, Ripple claiming they should have known that we were doing something wrong and they should have told us. If they knew, they should have told us. If they didn't know, okay, but let's find that out then. Stop trying to hide. That's what Ripple comes down to. That's what I'm coming down to as well. Can I really claim here that Ripple's in the right? Of course not, because I'm not a judge, I'm not a lawyer, I don't have all the info. But as we are reading through this, what Ripple is saying is the SEC is barring them from getting information. They've unsuccessfully tried it multiple different times, and right now, they're trying to get Hinman to not step on that pedestal. Why, though? I mean, logically, like Jeremy Hogan says it, whenever there's a battle to be fought, you're going to try it because it's a war, but these intermediary battles, you're going to, of course, try to do as little for the opposite side to help them as possible. I get that. But then again, as a government agency that's doing this for the justice of the people, trying to make money for, I would say, kind of the people that were hurt, right? I mean, that's kind of the purpose, I think. I'm not exactly sure what else to call it. Or just to sanction those who hurt others. How else do you want to call it? Well, for those individuals to not work and show proper regulatory statuses is strange to me. I mean, if the SEC was doing, let's look at this one, guys. Listen carefully here. If the SEC was doing completely proper business, why would they not want to show to Ripple and to all of us exactly what the status of these cryptos were and how they look at them? What is going on in their heads that throughout 2018 and now, there's been no update on these cryptos, nor have they made it clear to us what is and what isn't and out yet. Still a lawsuit versus Ripple/XRP was made, and it gets to my head. How could we, as individuals, how could I, right now, I have known that XRP was wrong if they're never told? It makes no sense. So, as it currently stands, everything we've read here, there's 99.9% chance that this deposition is going to pull through. I can't really think of any good reason why not to, which you'll see it from Ripple's two main arguments in just a second. By the way, you guys are saying Jeremy tweeted. Let's pick it up right here. I already stated that Hinman deposition will occur, in my opinion. Interesting in this Ripple motion is some juicy details. Hinman meeting with the Ethereum Foundation and consensus shortly after the Ethereum is not a security speech. See page 4 and 5. I'd love to listen to this in the deposition. And one thing I recently popped up here is I'm not sure if these depositions actually become public. Somewhere it said so. Some others said it might become public after the fact. So I'm not sure if we're going to read or hear about it at the instant. But I guess we'll update once we get to that point. Now, aren't we on page 4 or 5? Oh, we're on page... Oh, we're only on page 2. Holy smokes, we're going slow. So, to the extent the SEC contends that the deposition might infringe on the... to the extent that the SEC contends that the deposition might infringe on the agency's deliberative process privilege, that is no basis to bar the deposition. So, even though you might think, that's what they're saying, that William Hinman is too high, it's not going to bar the deposition. And the SEC contends at one only that Hinman's testimony would be partially protected by the deliberative process privilege, emphasis added. The court need not now decide whether the SEC's privilege contentions have merit, which, to be clear, defendants do not concede. Instead, the court should permit the deposition to go forward and require the agency's lawyer to object on a question-by-question basis if and when they believe a question seeks privileged information. So this is actually a really key part that I don't think many people are going to notice. So what we are saying here, what it currently looks like, is that what we should see is this process, Mr. Hinman's deposition, to go through 100%. Why are some people saying clickbait? We just got this document like 20 minutes ago. This is breaking news. Why are some people saying that? I don't really, legitimately don't get it. This just came out. I don't get that. Okay. What we've just now gotten here is that the most likely scenario is that Mr. Hinman will come on that chair, right? Not the electric, no, nothing like that, but a chair where he's going to sit down and have to answer Ripple's questions. There's I'm going to say 99% chance of that, very high. So we're going to see William Hinman be questioned, and I'm happy to see that. However, I am almost certain that some questions might not pull through. And that means that, again, like they said here, if some things were protected, the SEC can look at the questions and actually say, oh no, this one we want to fight, this one we want to fight, this one we want to fight. Because again, it might go over some speech that, let's actually say it like this, if Mr. Hinman made a speech while working at the SEC, those speeches sometimes cannot be used against them in court, because if it were to be so, then sometimes these people cannot express really maybe controversial political opinions where they should be allowed to without getting sued. For example, if one of these people wanted to completely regulate cryptos to the crap, and said he would never want to see them succeed, some guy might sue them for harassment of their property. Just pick something crazy that people could sue them for. Of course, that cannot go through because this is a high-ranking official that's given his opinion to help the people out, theoretically speaking, or just a government official, which should be allowed to be controversial. I definitely agree with that, though. So from that perspective, I'm not actually against this, but we'll see about that. That familiar procedure provides full protection for any legitimate interest the SEC might have in avoiding scrutiny of Mr. Hinman's public and private communications about the market's understanding of the regulatory treatment of crypto, an issue at the heart of this case. So again, whatever may happen, there's a 99% chance he's gonna have to sit and gonna have to answer questions. So let's see what Ripple's arguments were. The high-ranking official doctrine does not bar Mr. Hinman's deposition. Why? Well, Mr. Hinman never was, and certainly is not now, a high-ranking official. So we can go really far into that, but personally, guys, I'm not sure we should, because let's just accept that Ripple has found this out and stick with it like that. I'm not sure exactly how those U.S. high-ranking official statuses work, so I don't want to speculate on that too much. We could read through it, but I don't think it's really worth it, guys. Just stick with that one as if it's fact, and then get proven otherwise if the SEC responds to it, but I'll just accept this one for right now. Mr. Hinman, however, this is more interesting, has unique first-hand knowledge relevant to claims and defenses in this case. This is actually something that that the SEC said that he does not. And of course, that's one of the most dumb things to see. Obviously, Mr. Hinman has worked for the SEC. He has given a speech with knowledge that no other people, normal people that are not working for the SEC, have never seen. So, I mean, any logical thinking person could know that he has some facts out there that the normal peeps don't know about. So, on June 24, 2018, Mr. Hinman spoke at the Yahoo Finance All Market Summit Crypto event, delivering a speech that the SEC has appended to its motion as Exhibit C. Industry leaders from both the public and private sector spoke at the event, and during the speech, which focused on the application of the federal security laws to digital asset transactions, Mr. Hinman stated that if the network on which the token or coin is to function is sufficiently decentralized where purchases would no longer reasonably expect a person or group to carry out essentials, managerial, or entrepreneurial efforts, the asset may not represent an investment contract. So this is a key part. William Hinman, a guy working at the SEC before who has given definitely the most controversial yet most important SEC speech ever regarding cryptocurrencies, has actually said that if your network is properly decentralized, it can't be an investment contract. And of course, Ripple's going to try to fight that. I would actually have to go back and forward on it, but most notably, he proclaimed that based on his understanding of the present state of Ether, the Ethereum network and its decentralized structure, current offers and sales of Ether are not security transactions, despite the fundraising that accompanied the creation of Ether. This is pretty funny though, right? So, we know Ethereum had a fundraising. Yet, even then, even though that's the case, even though there was a fundraiser, right now Ethereum is quote unquote decentralized enough where it's not security transaction anymore. This actually goes towards XRP too, right? Where XRP at one point or another was quite a security. I mean, we can definitely deny it, but let's just come to the fact that XRP at one point or another was mostly controlled by Ripple, and so saying it was security is definitely okay. It didn't have a crowdfund, it didn't have a fundraising, but it was quite centralized to a certain degree. I've explained that a couple of days ago. I think 2 days ago we went over how XRP went on a decentralization spree basically as time went on. In 2017, a really big kind of incentive for it. But before that, you can definitely argue that a lot of the validators were run by them and the UNL. I guess the whole way they set it up back then, it wasn't too decentralized, but they fixed that as time moved on. So as it stands right now, they should have also given it the same kind of verdict as Ethereum where, well, since it moved on and became decentralized, it should be done properly. And you might think right now, watching this video, being like, but Ripple is one of the biggest parties who is just basically doing stuff for XRP, doing out the most of the essential managerial and entrepreneurial efforts. Partially true, yes, but that is also the question, right? Because almost any of these cryptos have a foundation behind it. And the question is, do they need it? Is it there? And are they creating the expectation of profit? In my opinion, there will always, with any of these kind of bigger platforms, be some sort of foundation that's doing the majority for it. You have the Bitcoin Foundation, you have the Ethereum Foundation. You will always have a foundation that's doing stuff for it because nobody else is going to do that. It costs money. And if it doesn't essentially bring you money, or if it's not your task as a company to do so, you're not going to do that. So that part I'm also going to kind of ignore because it's not too relevant. It's like just stating the obvious. But it's about, is the company creating kind of expectation of profit, and is it properly decentralized? And I would say so. Mr. Hinman himself described the speech as newsworthy, which is again a key part that we will use later. And those watching and listening agreed. The price of Ether skyrocketed immediately after the speech, which is something that the SEC has done more often. A lot of this market manipulation. Remember when they sued Ripple? You saw the price plummet? Again, SEC market manipulation right there. Many have since described the speech as setting forth a new standard separate from or additional to Howey. Multiple currency exchanges decided to list XRP after the speech, suggesting it gave comfort that offers and sales of XRP did not run afoul of the security laws. During the speech, though, Mr. Hinman invited industry leaders to communicate with him, noting that, quote, "We are happy to help promoters and their counsel work through these issues," end quote. This is another key part here because Hinman, a guy working at the SEC, explained that if you, as a promoter, are wondering how exactly it works, we're here to help you. No worries about it. And now afterwards, in hindsight, it's like, well, no, we couldn't help you because we didn't know. That's stupid. There is a reason to think that he did indeed speak with third parties both and before and after his speech. For example, in spring 2018, Mr. Hinman himself personally met and spoke with blank and the principles of blank. These are taken away, by the way. Hey, by the way, look at this. Bank is actually mentioned right here. Bank XRP, the big guy on Twitter and a little bit on YouTube, he's actually mentioned inside this lawsuit. That is really interesting. I do wonder, are they watching my videos too? Because if they're watching Bank's videos right there, that's a little bit scary. This video was titled SEC William Hinman issued new remarks on whether crypto assets are securities. That is interesting. That's thingy number 2. Let's see here. Hinman himself described the speech as newsworthy. Ooh. That's pretty scary, guys. This is a video from 2018, but still, oh damn. Well, okay, that gets my blood pumping a little bit. I hope. Oh, okay. I hope not. Damn. Okay, let's quickly see. But the documents the SEC produced are individual emails. But the documents that SEC has produced are individual emails referring to particular meetings that do not include any full list of Mr. Hinman's communications with market participants, informing that Mr. Hinman himself can provide the SEC. Documents also show the meetings occurred, not what was said. Okay, but here's again the part about the Ethereum Foundation. That's the last part I want you guys to know about, and then we can kind of end this one. Mr. Hinman's communications with the Ethereum Foundation, Consensus, and other third parties are relevant and discoverable, which is what the Ripple is arguing now. The court has ruled that the SEC statements to the market participants about the regulatory status of crypto, including those related to Bitcoin and Ether, are discoverable because they are relevant to the court's eventual analysis with respect to the Howey factors. Again, they're saying, well, actually, I'm not actually sure where this first part is. Oh, okay, now I'm seeing it around. So whatever Mr. Hinman actually discussed with the Ethereum Foundation and Consensus, we will actually find out whether or not there was any bias towards his decision, by the way, because of what he said against them. This is the foundation behind Ethereum, which again, you might see as kind of Ripple. Same thing for Consensus. You might kind of see these two things as the headways behind Ethereum. And so from that perspective, if he said something to them that is controversial or in some way, shape, or form, you guys get it, could help out Ripple, it might get interesting. So I'm definitely waiting out for that. And the reason that it's important that it's discoverable, quote unquote, is because otherwise Ripple might have not gotten those pieces of document. But they're saying that eventually the judge has come to a conclusion whether or not XRP is following the Howey test or following the the normal SEC procedure, a security, and that might help towards it all. So the rest is not that relevant. Point number 2 is the SEC has no valid privilege objection to Mr. Hinman's deposition, which is basically saying the SEC, coming back to point number 1A, is that they have not necessarily got any good reason to say that whatever he has to offer is being privileged, so that he is too high of a ranking or anything like that to get in there. That's basically what it says. For example, if you were talking with a lawyer, that specific information that you tell your lawyer, that of course is not necessarily discoverable because it might be privileged. But in this specific case here, the SEC actually has no valid privilege objection to Mr. Hinman's deposition. They actually do not even provide one, which is, I think, kind of the same as point 1A, where they basically say again here that Mr. Hinman never was and certainly right now isn't a high-ranking official. So from that perspective as well, no high-ranking official doctrine, no just privilege because he's a high-ranking guy, nothing like that can actually do it, nor is the SEC actually trying to try that because, well, there's no real good how can you say it? There's no real making it work. It's not worth it to make it work because they couldn't. Here was actually the previous doc. Let's quickly check it out. Defendant's memorandum in opposition to plaintiff's motion to quash the position. Is this just... let's see actually what these were, because I actually just checked the first part. By the way, guys, I only had like 15 minutes before I started the stream, all right? So I only read the first part here. I just quickly glanced through everything, and I thought, let me give you the rundown. But the last part here, the Exhibit 1, I wouldn't be able to tell you guys exactly what is in there, right, as of this moment. Defendant's memorandum in opposition to plaintiff's motion to quash the position, subpoenas to former Commissioner Michael Piwawar and to Director of Enforcement Stephanie Avakian. Okay, so they're trying to get them some info as well, or maybe it's something in the past. Let's quickly check it out. The SEC makes 4 basic arguments to support its motion to quash the deposition of Stephanie Avakian and former Commissioner Michelle Piwawar, and to prevent the production of these documents that discuss the reasons why the SEC unconstitutionally treated Navalier and Associates Inc. and Mr. Navalier differently and more harshly than other similarly situated investment advisory firms and persons who marketed the allegedly false Alpha Sector Index performance record. Each of the SEC's arguments is okay. So this is most likely just relevant info for some of the arguments that they're making, just some case history. We don't have to go further into all of that. Let's just quickly checking it out. It's most likely just what the SEC decided in the past. Ripple wants to use that as a kind of helping out their conclusion. And Exhibit 2 filed under seal, filed under seal, filed under seal. And Exhibit number 5 is the Honorable Ted Budd. Dear Representative Budd, thank you for your, this is Office of the Chairman, October 1st letter regarding the application of the Federal Security Law to digital assets. This is about ICOs. Okay, I'm not actually seeing a lot of ICO. I'm assuming this is again about ICOs back then. It might actually refer to people using Hinman's speech. No, let's also not speculate too much on that, guys, because I'm not sure. Oh, here it says, additionally, as your letter notes, Bill Hinman, the director of the division, this is the same, Bill Hinman, I think, or something like that. Additionally, as your letter notes, Bill Hinman, the director of the Division of Corporate Finance, delivered a speech in June 2018 that outlined factors for market participants. I will zoom in a little bit, guys. There we go. For market participants to consider when evaluating whether a digital asset is a security. Moreover, in November 2018, the Divisions of Corporation Finance, Investment Management and Trading and Markets issued a statement on digital assets issuance and trading, which included details about how a company that conducted an unregistered security offering through an ICO might remediate and move forward. At the same time, I understand the desire for further dialogue on the subject. The Commission and its staff actively engage with innovators, that's funny, developers and entrepreneurs in the field of distributed technology. Issuing public statements on the subject is an important part of the engagement, and I, along with the Commission staff, have issued statements. Okay. Delivered speeches and provided congressional testimony, which can be found right there. The staff is also developing additional guidance designed to aid participants in determining whether a digital asset is offered as sold as security. Okay, so it just quickly refers back to the speech. Your letter also asks whether I agree with certain statements concerning digital tokens in Director Hinman's June 2018 speech. I agree that the analysis of whether a digital asset is offered or sold as... Okay, let's actually take a little step back. Let me sip some water. I just was eating a little, what's it called? Snickers ice cream. So there's a lot of peanuts in there. And then I instantly started to record while I was still half eating, because I wanted to give you guys the news as soon as possible, you know? Okay, so this is a question to, if I'm not mistaken, is towards the SEC, to the chairman. The Honorable Ted Budd, United States SEC, the Office of the Chairman. I think at the bottom we will actually see who co-signed this, right? And who answered the question. Okay, but your letter also asks whether I agree with the statements said in the Hinman speech. I agree that the analysis of whether a digital asset is offered or sold as a security is not static and does not strictly adhere to the instrument. A digital asset may be offered and sold initially as a security because it meets the definition of an investment contract, but that designation may change over time if the digital asset later is offered and sold in a way that it will no longer meet that definition, which is again what Ripple's trying to say. And that is also, again, how Ethereum actually went. Nobody out there in this world can say Ethereum wasn't a security from the get-go. I agree with Director Hinman's explanation of how a digital asset transaction may no longer represent an investment contract if, for example, purchasers would no longer reasonably expect a person or group to carry out the essential managerial or entrepreneurial efforts. Under those circumstances, a digital asset may not represent an investment contract under the Howey framework. Okay. Okay. I think those are actually the most important parts there, where it's basically this individual. Let's quickly see who it was. This is Jay Clayton. Yes, okay, so that's the letter. This is Jay Clayton explaining how he agrees with what William Hinman said, which is, again, the two parts that Ripple would like to argue right now. Which is, again, that even though something might be a security at the start, it doesn't have to be after a couple of years. And the way they handled Ethereum should most likely be the same way as if they should handle XRP. And even though they should be done on a fair point-by-point basis, well, logically speaking, it's kind of the same scenario. At least that is my opinion. Let's quickly check it out. I'm just quickly checking if John Deaton has also posted anything over on Twitter. John Deaton. Let's quickly check it out on my phone. He did not. Okay. So nothing too crazy from that perspective then. Okay. What are you guys thinking? What are you guys thinking about that? In terms of price, by the way, things are still doing good. We had a little bit of a meltdown here. I was a little bit, quote unquote, afraid, I guess, so to speak, about the price falling down. But things recovered. Things are doing good. On the XRP to BTC pair, by the way, things are still doing amazing. So, by the way, for the conclusion, for all the people that are coming out a little bit later, this is all good. In my opinion, which is, again, not an official legal opinion, but just a person who's been reading all these documents, I would say there's an extremely high chance that William Hinman, whatever his freaking name is going to be questioned. That's, I think, almost fact. Again, we cannot officially conclude, but that's how I've felt it now from reading this through. So, almost certain. Now, having said that, I also firmly think that the SEC will try to get a couple of these questions knocked out, where it's basically that they cannot, allow those questions to be asked. We'll see about that, though. We'll see. I'm not exactly sure which ones and how that's going to work, but that's definitely a possibility, because some of the things he said, he might not, be able to be judged for. And I'll allow that, of course. I mean, what can I do? In conclusion, it's bullish because, well, Ripple, again, could get more information out of William Hinman. And if they could just get one specific thing regarding that they knew or had a stance on XRP back then, well, they've already, I'm not going to say they won the lawsuit, but it can really severely aid Ripple in their fair notice defense by saying that even though the SEC knew, they never took action against XRP, which is kind of an instant contradiction to the SEC statement, which is that they didn't know. And that might really, really severely help out Ripple, if not make them win. So this specific speech or deposition, or even just the documents that the SEC were going to hand over, could all instantly make Ripple win, theoretically speaking. In practice, of course, it wouldn't make them win just from the get-go. It will most likely still take a very long time because they have to come to a couple conclusions, and the judges do agree with that. Well, the SEC was just playing games with her and with the people, and so forward and so on, because, well, if it comes out to that conclusion, the SEC basically did everything but protect the investors, which we'll see once we get to that point, right? Let's first get this deposition going. It would have actually been yesterday, the 30th, but, well, yeah, well. All right. So in terms of price, I was a little bit scared, actually, when we broke down again, because I was like, ooh, why? No. But since Bitcoin didn't really break down, Bitcoin is still following the same trend, and XRP to BTC is actually following along the pattern quite nicely. I mean, I wasn't really too scared, I guess, from that perspective. Then it was just a little bit of a fall down. I'm not exactly sure why it dipped below. By the way, guys, we luckily already gave a little bit of an update about the 1 billion XRP a day before it happened. You know how many people, again, went to the comment section to say, oh, XRP dump, Ripple dump. And some articles, I think, might have been mitigated now that we gave an update on and the people knew. But I still saw a couple of articles talking about a Ripple dump. It happens every single time. But make sure you understand that whenever they talk about 1 billion XRP being dumped or something like that, it is always about the escrow. And Jed dumped? Yes, Jed is dumping every single day, but that's still, again, a relatively difficult thing to explain, I would say, because Jed is a co-founder. It's the same thing as Vitalik Buterin having XRP and, for example, Charles Hoskinson having ADA and Ethereum, even for that matter, and Satoshi Nakamoto having Bitcoin. I mean, Will Osborne says in the chat, Judge is remaining professional and impartial, but from my perspective, the SEC has been rude and pompous. Well, I would say the SEC has now been proven to not fully go by the judge's rules, where they, for example, have hidden info, and they, for example, tried to manipulate the court in a specific way, and the judge most likely knows that too. That was seen in one of the speeches earlier, where they basically, the SEC, did not make it clear whether or not this lawsuit was actually against all XRP transactions or only transactions by Ripple's side. They made it look as if they're only against Ripple, but in their actual statements, it was clear that they were trying to sue for every single XRP transaction ever. And another one, of course, was a little while ago. Oh no, I guess right now the current situation where the SEC has not been given those XRP, Bitcoin, and Ether documents, even though the court has ordered it twice, which I don't think a judge would ever really like. I mean, logically speaking, it's not a nice thing if you give out an order and they just are like, well, yeah, we had to, but we're not going to, right? I mean, nobody really likes that, I think. So yeah, some of you guys are saying some funny stuff I can't really say out loud right here. But Jim McCallum selling, I don't really think there's anything too sad about that, because it's basically the money moving from one big whale to smaller whales, or maybe some relatively big whales too. It's just money moving for the people that have ill intent with it to people who have better intent, I'm hoping, at least. So I'm not too sad about all of that, to be honest with you. We could look at Jeb's wallet, but is it really going to do us any good? Dane says, howdy, Dusty. What's up, Dane? Thank you for stopping by and saying hi. Welcome, everybody. And I'm going to try actually say hi to everybody once the live stream starts as well. I want to just quickly always make sure that you know how much I appreciate every single one of you. Just, it's always amazing to see you guys in the chat box. Even though you might not press the like button, even though you might not be subscribed, I don't care. Just you showing up and saying hi, something like that, it's just really crazy to me. I don't know, it really feels cool. Partially that we're all bonded in the same type of investment. That's also kind of interesting, right? Because you have kind of a connection right there. But also partially just for people just showing up and just being in the chat box here. It's just always cool. Document conclusion. The conclusion is we will most likely see, so conclusion is Ripple gave their response to the SEC. What they basically said is that the SEC didn't actually put up any good arguments as to why they could not go do this deposition. Well, they gave some arguments, but they were really bad. And another part, they actually didn't really put up to the high burden that they basically have set for themselves whenever you're trying to get a deposition like this. Another part, of course, is that Ripple says if they really don't want this to pull through, and they really think that some of these informational pieces that Mr. Hinman has is privileged, then what Ripple will do is give them questions up front, and they can actually, on a question-per-question basis, say that they should or should not be asked, and the court can then decide on that. Because as it currently stands, Ripple sees no reason why Mr. Hinman should not be put on that chair to answer a couple of questions, and us reading it now, we can't come to a conclusion either. So, yeah, we could not come to a conclusion why not, basically. Because there's definitely, you cannot tell me that Mr. Hinman has got no inside info. He literally is the key piece behind Jay Clayton's, stance on crypto. And so if that's a fact, if we know that Jay Clayton really agrees with William Hinman, and Jay Clayton is the one who sued Ripple, well, you get kind of a triangle there where he is a key part, and he needs to just be questioned. Even though some questions might not be able to be asked, I don't give a crap. We want the Jamba Juice. We want some stuff to start out. You know, we want some. We just want some. I don't care exactly if we get the full pie, but at least we want some, some cherries on the top. You know what I mean? We want at least the cherries. If we get the full pie, that's bonus. But we want some cherries, and we want to see him put on a little bit of pressure. By the way, I see a couple of you guys talk about hyperinflation. Why is that relevant to this story? What's going on? It was nice to see Dusty make men's with Matty G. That's a fun chat. What are you talking about, my man? You mean Matty Greenspan? Matty G? Who's Matty G? Matty G TV? What are you talking about? I am not sure what you are talking about. Please tell me. Let's quickly see what you guys are saying. Yo, am I here? People always say, hey guys, what's up, is Dusty here. I think that's also pretty funny. Dusty, my like button is broke. Am I the only one? I like that, man. I like that. I appreciate you. Bullish news for XRP? Mal 50-50. I mean, to be honest, it's only going to become bullish when the judge actually decides that they have won, basically, or something along those lines. As it currently stands, we can't really say there's anything, all this stuff we knew already, right? That Ripple was in a good position and that they were most likely going to get this done. So, I mean, can you really say this has been extremely bullish? Debatable. Guys, if you appreciate these streams that are as soon as I get them, as soon as I can possibly, I dropped my piece. There's even my little Snickers carton with a little teeny residue of ice cream in there. I dropped it for you guys to just quickly make you guys this little update on the lawsuit. If you appreciate that stuff, make sure you press that like button to show your support. You can subscribe if you want these updates more often. You can, of course, decide that for yourself if you think it is worth it. But it's been a good day. Is it going to be important, this piece? Of course, yes, because now that Ripple's given a response, the judge can respond if the SEC doesn't have a reply. And that would, again, allow us to kind of move forward with this case, because all this type of stuff just keeps kind of, it feels like it's pushing it further away. Theoretically speaking, it's not because the dates are set, but it feels as if all these small little things are just pushing it further and further and further out. We just want some conclusions. We just want some info. And even though this deposition might not even be public, I just want the conclusion on whether or not it's going to be done. You guys get that? Again, it should have been the 30th. It wasn't. I'm hoping it's going to be here soon. So yeah, guys, that was it for my little live stream right here. There's going to be a couple of videos popping up throughout the day here. So stick around, check it out. And as I said before, you might want to subscribe to the channel. It might be worth it. And I'll see you guys again a little bit later in another crypto update. So thank you guys all so much for watching. XRP to the freaking moon, guys.